Skydor Network is proud to present Max Hawthorne's Monsters and Marine Mysteries. Known as the Prince of Paleofiction, Max is an American author, screenwriter, and avocational paleontologist, best known for his award-winning Chronos Rising series of sci-fi thrillers. In addition to being a world record-holding angler, he is the author of the Amazon #1 cryptid research book, Monsters and Marine Mysteries. Join Max now as he continues his investigation into the unknown. Are monsters real? Let's find out.
Hey everyone, Max Hawthorne here, and welcome to the show. Apologies for the delay for people that were waiting and watching live. We ran into some technical issues, which we're doing the best we can here. Tonight, I am pleased to have an amazing guest on the show, a gentleman with impeccable credentials and an astonishing tale about a frighteningly close encounter with a giant marine serpent. Before we dive into things, pun intended, however, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and turn on the notifications bell so you don't miss out on any upcoming episodes. Remember to check out all of Skydor Entertainment's fantastic shows. Viewers can find us on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram. One moment. Oh, gosh. Last but not least, I don't know if this is going to work because we lost a lot of our live people, but in honor of my guest, tonight's door prize will consist of a gin fossil mosasaur tooth from the Cretaceous. To enter, as Boris will show, you must post the hashtag, all lowercase, hashtag monsters are real in the chat. Please note that you can only win one prize per quarter, so previous winners cannot qualify for the drawing since we've only had 4 shows so far. Also, prizes are only awarded to those residing in the U.S. or its territories. Daddy has no time for post office lines and customs forms. I am sorry. And with that, let me tell you about tonight's guest. Al Friswell hails from East London and works in the special effects industry. He's done animation for Steven Spielberg. He created all the monsters for the computer game Magic and Mayhem, and is currently building a dinosaur exhibit for his local museum, Valen's House. Most impressively, he worked for Ray Harryhausen from 2010 until 2013 when Ray passed, and is now the official restorer for the Ray and Diana Harryhausen Foundation. Al is here tonight to relay an amazing encounter with a real-life sea serpent that took place on the Red Sea, and which I have, fittingly enough, christened the Red Sea Serpent. Get it? Red Serpent. Red. The actual sighting was witnessed by Al's brother-in-law, Alfie. Sadly, Alfie is no longer with us, but he told Al the story so many times it's practically ingrained, and I'm very much looking forward to talking with him about it. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome Al Friswell to Monsters and Marine Mysteries. Thank you, Al, for joining us tonight.
Hello, Max. Thank you very much for inviting me.
The pleasure's all mine. I mean, obviously, somebody who writes novels about giant prehistoric creatures like I do, and even got a signed poster from Ray at one point, and anybody that knew him is already tops in my book. So I'm very excited to have you on here and to talk about your experience. So I so we're not able to see the comments, or they're not able to see them also. I got you. Sure. So the comments, yeah, I won't be able to see the comments, and Al is called in audio only. But any comments that Dave wants to relay, he's going to just chime in and speak with us directly. So let's, like I said, quote, dive into things and all that, Al. So um, I guess tell. So I mean, I already said a lot about you, and I want to like later in the show. Touch on some of your great stuff. But since people have been waiting for the sea serpent and the things, let's try and so tell me about what happened with Alfie and with this creature and everything.
Well, uh, Alfie, before he probably met my sister, was working as an electrician in Saudi Arabia, and some friends, Red Sea, but one was so hot that they decided to go fishing at night,
Hmm.
and they took their boat out on the ocean, and they were out there for about an hour.
Well, I know because you and I spoke about this. I'm sorry to interrupt, but I want to like kind of set the stage for people and stuff. So first thing is I did dig into it, like we talked about, and I found out the hottest month of the year there is August, and the average temperature is actually human body temperature of 98.6 degrees, which is pretty baking. So I could see that. But so how big was the boat, and how many guys are we talking, and all that, all that?
There were four guys on the boat. Alfie always mentioned that the boat was around 15 feet long, 15 foot in length. So that was the size.
On salt water in a tiny little, like a skiff, basically.
Yes, yeah.
I'd be scared just by that. Well, if you think about it, you hear all the time about people going out in these little overloaded boats, and then bad things happen. But
It is very much. Yes.
so they were how far offshore?
They were about a mile or so offshore.
And
And
go ahead.
sorry, go on.
And what were they like fishing for?
Well, it was obviously a smallish fish. I don't think Alfie ever mentioned the actual species of fish they were catching. He said that they had a box of ice on board, so they were cleaning the fish, like gutting the fish,
Mhm.
and then burying it under the ice so that it would spoil.
I got you.
So
And,
sorry,
and
yeah.
they were throwing the entrails and blood and all that over the side.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, that is.
So they were drift fishing basically with bait or something like that, and catching fish that weighed a couple pounds, let's say, or something, and then gutting them, tossing it, and putting the fresh part of the fish to keep to eat in a cooler, basically with ice,
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
and drifting along quietly.
Well, yeah, up until when it happened, yes.
Yeah.
But so they've been out for about an hour, and there was a moon quite bright. They could see. They had torches as well. Actually, they took torches with them.
When you say torches, you mean flashlights or actual torches?
Yeah. That's what in the UK torches. Yeah,
Yeah.
flashlights. Yeah. So they've been out about an hour, and they heard disturbances in the water, like a few yards, like 10 or 15 yards away. And they became concerned because in the Red Sea you get tiger sharks and hammerhead sharks, and they can be incredibly aggressive. They can attack boats, and so they thought inadvertently by throwing the remains of the fish overboard, they may have been setting up a chum line and attracting sharks. And so yes, indeed. So they put the torches on the disturbance. They couldn't see anything, just big splashes of water, and then a huge swell of water came in and rocked the boat. Actually, lifted it up and crashed it back down again into the ocean. And they really concerned at this point because they thought it was a type of shark. It was an enormous because of the displacement of water.
Mhm.
And they were thinking very seriously about getting back now. And while they were deciding what to do, the head and neck just came out of the water, emerged from about 4 feet away from the boat, and just swam past the boat in full view. They all saw it. They talked as well. So the flashlight.
See, now that is crazy right there. I mean, I'm not doubting anything. I believe this 100%. I mean, crazy meaning you're 3 or 4 feet away from this thing, and it comes up. So you got like, and everybody said that this was a snake. It looked like some sort of giant snake.
Yeah, that's what eel was said because he'd caught many. Because I asked him a type of eel, but he'd caught in the past because he loved fishing, and he said this thing was covered in scale. It was brilliant, and you could see the everything was very reptilian looking.
Dave,
So-
are you able to bring images on when I ask for them?
Sorry.
No, I was talking to Dave, the producer. I hope he can hear me. Dave? Hello? Godfather, you there, big guy? Yeah, okay. Can we get number 6, please? I don't know if it'll show on our screen here or just for the audience. Is it up? Okay. So if I'm curious to see this myself. Okay, it is there. I see it on YouTube. So that, everybody, this is now Al is an accomplished animator and artist, and he did everybody a huge favor and did a couple drawings based on his brother-in-law description of it. So this is basically what happened. They were in this tiny skiff, and this enormous snake-like head and neck came up right next to the boat. And you can get an idea of the size of the thing right there. And so what happened, Al, after it came up, and like how long was it there? Did it do anything? Did it look at them? Was it aggressive? Did it smell? I mean, give me the juicy stuff. Did it have scales? You know?
Well, it came out of the water. It said was length, and it came about 10 foot, so it's about 10 foot above the ocean. It swam past quite slowly.
Mhm.
It looked at me, turned its head and looked at the ocean, and it just swam past quite slowly, and then just submerged again. And Elfie said there was a very strong smell, like antiseptic smell, like bleach, very, very strong. And he said it must have come from the animal because it disappeared as soon as it submerged. The smell went with it. And yes, sorry.
Oh no, Dave, can we get number 7 up, please? Because Al did a fantastic drawing here. Okay, so this is a detailed drawing of what Al Friswell did based on what Alfie described in terms of how this thing looked, the eyes, the brow ridges, the scales, all this other stuff like that. It is an impressive thing. Al, you said that there was about 20 feet of neck sticking out of the water, 20 feet of the snake?
Well, yes, because the head was 10 foot above the water, but of
Right.
course the neck was actually at an angle. It wouldn't come straight out like a swan's neck would. It was actually quite low as it came out, but the length of the neck, the head above the water would have been about 10 foot. So you're looking at, maybe 18 or 20 foot of neck that was actually exposed from the water.
Yeah, which would make sense in a lot of ways, because in terms of angling forward like that. And you said, and it was scaly and all this stuff. So it was definitely reptilian.
No question about it. He said he saw the eyes were like the eyes of a snake, and the head was covered in scales, the neck and everything. So very definitely a reptile.
Fantastic. So now let me just pull up, let's see what we got here. So the first thing is, let's look at number 13, please, Dave. I can see there's a delay in the feed from what's going on YouTube and stuff. Hello, TTZ151. Monsters are real. Yes, they are, apparently, which is a beautiful thing. I can actually see a little bit of the chat here on the right on the YouTube thing. I don't see the image yet, the drawing. I'm not sure, not the drawing, the photo. Such technical problems. Okay. Okay, so that something I just want to put up for reference is a type of water snake. Okay, so to give an idea what a snake head looks like and all. Let's also pull up number. That is, by the way, I should have credit for that. That's from Wikipedia, and that is from Kalan from let's see 15, please, Dave. Let me know when that bad boy's up there, if you can, or I'll try and pop on to. It's there. Okay. I don't see it on the thing, but I'll take your word for it. So public yellow belly sea snake. Okay. Now but the thing is, now we're talking the size of this thing first. We try and figure out what exactly these guys encountered. Luckily, it wasn't aggressive. Al, you said it just looked at them at one point.
Yeah, well, it swam past. He said it was very slow. It was very relaxed as it moved past.
Obviously, not afraid of anything, basically. So that's very interesting. I mean the size of the thing, it would have to be huge in order to create a swell like that would move even a 15-foot boat with 4 guys in it and stuff, to throw it around. I mean, it's an intriguing idea in terms of what this thing actually was. So, Dave, can you pull up the URL, which is like a website showing the species of extant sea snake? Oh, no, it's not. It's a still image, that one. That's a still image. It's just a website. Will that work? Okay. I wish Al was on video also. He'd be able to see all this stuff. But I guess later he can, Al will be able to see everything when you watch a replay from the archives and stuff.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Catch obsessed. So while he's pulling that up, the large snake, and keep sea snakes are highly venomous, is a species called Dendrophis. And this is an impressive animal. It gets to be around 10 feet in length, which is a sizable snake, but that's the whole animal. And this is, it's a 10-foot. I mean, the ratio of head to body, from what I've seen on most snakes, is usually like a 1:25 ratio, 1:30. So even a 10-foot snake would have a head at most 4 inches long, something like that, and probably less for a sea snake, maybe, but let's say 4 inches. I mean, if you have a snake with a head 2 feet long, that's 6 times that size. That implies a snake possibly 60 feet in length, which is astonishing. Any luck, Dave? I'm talking to myself, which does happen at my age. Okay, so we shall continue. So here's the thing. Dave, let me know when you're back, because I want to pull up some other images and stuff, please. I'm tempted to sing, but I don't want to scare off the few people that are watching. Okay. Okay, so that's fine. So we'll just people can just look up Hydrophis, the species, if they're curious. Then I hate to say that, but it is Hydrophis. look up sea snake or largest sea snake, you'll see it. It is an impressive creature. I mean, and considering how venomous they are, usually more poisonous than a cobra, you certainly wouldn't want to be bit by one. Unfortunately, this means that um, two other videos we wanted to play on here for snake swimming and stuff are not going to be available. But let's pull up number 3, the Paleophis image. And let me know when that bad boy's up there, please. Okay, cool. So the largest known prehistoric snake is a species called, besides Titanoboa, I'm sorry, but it's an actual sea snake, is Paleophis colaceus or colaceus. I'm not sure how to pronounce this. I'm learning it by reading it. And this was a very large prehistoric sea snake that could grow up to around 40 feet in length. So one would look at this and say, okay, well, is there some way, some stretch that this creature survived to the present? Would that make sense, etc.? But then that leads us into the question, and I was talking with Al about the sighting and all that, and I've watched footage of water snakes swimming, and what a water snake swims. And we had 2 videos. Unfortunately, we can't play them. A water snake will tend to have its head up out of the water, doing the periscope thing, let's say, but it's a tiny fraction of the neck, just the head and a couple of inches of the neck, and that's basically it. When a sea snake swims on the surface, the head on the surface, it's on top of something, and even then, and it's a very small fraction. And if we were dealing with a snake that was 60 feet in length, which based on the head and proportions like that, I should think it was, I don't think it would be capable of holding 20 feet of its head out of the water, because I think that it would cause its weight would cause its buoyancy to shift and the head would fall down. Like, I just don't, I find that, difficult to think. I don't think, at least I have to consider the possibility that it wasn't an actual snake. But if it wasn't a snake, then the question is, what other possibilities are there? And I'm going to put a couple of images up here that I put together for this to create to show one possibility in which a creature which there has been at least one other sighting in the past. Dave, can we get number 9 up, please? And leave that up for if you can, temporarily. Okay, great. So now, and Al, this is the one I sent you where you see the 4 guys in the imitation boat I put together with the long neck and the blue waves going by and
Yeah,
stuff,
yeah.
just to give you an idea. Okay, so this was my attempt to recreate what Al drew so much more masterfully. And by the way, that head and neck actually is, oh my gosh, I am so ill prepared for this. I'm going to have to pull that up in a second. But so that's the idea of what the, okay, I want to make sure I give credit for this. And I will in a minute. So that's what like 20 feet of neck, 10 feet above the surface of the water would look like. Okay, next to a boat that size. And with the head about 2 feet long. Okay, can you switch that for number 10, please, Dave? Now, this is the same drawing or the same illustration, but just cut at the water line, just to show the boat and the head and neck only.
Okay.
Tell me when that sucker's up there, Godfather. Okay, so now this is the same thing. We've taken away the water, but just to show, the factor. Now, I mean, you could say, okay, if we triple that snake in length, okay, then you would get an idea of, but again, I don't think that it would be able to do that. I don't think strength wise, I personally don't think we were dealing with a snake. Okay, what I think they saw, and then this is just my opinion, we're putting as a possibility. Let's see number 11, please. Okay, I think, and by the way, that's thalassomedon by the incredibly talented Scott Hartman. I want to make sure that he's credited for his masterful drawing. We got to consider the possibility, could they have seen a very large plesiosaur or elasmosaur? I think that that would explain several things, including the body mass that could actually disturb so much water and that could move a boat and cause it to bob up and down from the water that this thing displaced, as well as its ability to kind of hold its head like that and move forward, etc. But Al, what do you think? I mean, do you think it's possible that, I mean, if we either had a prehistoric snake or a prehistoric marine reptile, that something like that, based on the description, might or be possible?
Well, Alfie said that like his best guess was that it was a type of huge snake, but then of course he said that they never saw what was under the water. They never saw if it had a body or paddles or flippers or anything. They didn't know what was underneath. So he was open-minded. I said, could it have been a prehistoric? He said, well, it was definitely reptilian. He said, definitely was not a fish. There's no question that it was a fish. So he said he couldn't say that the idea that it might have been something prehistoric was something that he didn't rule that out. He always said it was probably a huge snake, but he was open-minded about the possibilities of what it might have actually been.
Sure. Well, I mean, even if it was a huge snake, I would think it was prehistoric also. I mean, in terms of that, or at least something that's been around, like a holdover, let's say. Let's pull up number 14, please, Dave. And let's leave that sucker up there for a minute or two, because I'm going to actually have to go onto the website about this myself. Okay, so that drawing is based on a famous incident from the submersible Alvin. And I believe I have that up here. So in 1965, and I don't remember the exact date, I believe it was July 20th. The Alvin was a famous submersible that was used for a lot of exploration and a lot of other stuff, including they retrieved a missing nuclear bomb, I believe, at one point. And back then, this drawing was done in response to a report from there. The pilot, Marvin McCamus, spotted what he said was a plesiosaur. And I'm going to read his original quote here, and I think Al will be interested in hear this too if he's not familiar. But he said, and this was in a book called Without a Trace. So we were down about 5,000 feet, and then I went down into a crevasse about 300 feet deeper under a slight outcrop. We went deeper because the cable we were following, so they were checking some submarine cable or telephone cable, I'm not sure which, we were following spanned the crevasse. It was right there that I spotted it. The first thing I noticed was the movement. I thought we were moving along the cable and checked for drift, but found that the sub was stationary and that it was the object that was moving. It then occurred to me that perhaps it was a utility pole, especially because of its thick shape. I swung the sub in an arc to get a better view along the cable or pole or whatever it was, when I was astonished to see a thick body with flippers, a long neck, a snake-like head with two eyes looking right at us. It looked like a big lizard with flippers. It had two sets of them. Then it swam upwards with its back turned before we could get the cameras angled. They were set to photograph 15 to 25 feet in front of the submarine, and the thing had already swum out of the camera angle, was still around. I didn't like the way things were happening, so I came up. I couldn't believe what I was seeing, but I didn't want to hang around. He put his sighting in the submersible's wet log, and eventually, though, the Navy took it out, as apparently they were wont to do and such. I used to know a cryptozoologist named Scott Morris, who passed away recently, who had communicated with McCamus directly, confirmed a lot of stuff, including the exact date of everything that happened, etc. So as that illustration, and that drawing was based on his description, and he said that's basically exactly what he saw. So, I mean, this is a credible sighting from an experienced submersible pilot who had nothing in there to risk except ridicule, who saw, and he said this thing was like, I think 45 or 50 feet long, an enormous, long-necked plesiosaur type creature, which makes me think that this is, I forgot to ask, Al, when was this that Alfie saw this this thing.
This would have been around the late 1960s.
So there you go. I mean, this took place in 1965, and this is a few months later. Now, I'm not saying it's the same animal because I believe that this location is in the Caribbean, if I'm not mistaken. It's off the Bahamas. I'm sorry, a deep sea dive off the Bahamas. But obviously, I mean, things could travel obviously in a few years or whatever. But you need a breeding population if something like that was to keep around. Did he say if this thing out made any noise or anything?
No, absolutely not. The only sound was the sound of the ocean as it swam past. There was no sound at all. Completely silent.
See, that's very interesting because another person that I spoke to who saw a very, very large, unidentified, apparently marine reptile said, for example, when it surfaced for air, it wasn't like a whale. There was no spouting. It didn't blow like with this giant cloud of water vapor, etc. He said that they were looking right down at the thing's head, and the water around its head, as it started to surface, just turned white, which obviously would represent thousands and thousands of bubbles because this thing was very, very big, as it came up. And that is the same way that sea turtles respirate when they're about to surface. They breathe out as they're approaching the surface and then inhale when they get there. It's very quiet. Crocodiles are the same way. So, I mean, this makes sense that this thing, snake or plesiosaur, whatever it might have been, would have come up quite silently and stealthily. And I think that would certainly add to the creepiness, don't you?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Well, Elfield was said that it was the most terrifying experience that he'd ever had. He'd never been so scared before or since of anything.
I mean, a snake with a head 2 feet long could easily choke down a human being.
No question, yeah. Well, that was what they were so scared of because they thought if it attacked the boat, they would be finished. There would be nothing they could do about it because of its size. So they were very, very glad when it actually just went past and submerged again, as you can imagine.
I think you'll agree with me that whatever it was, obviously, like you said, they set up a chum line, So
yes.
they would fish blood and guts into the water.
Well, Elfield said that was the only explanation for what had happened because they were burying the ice, the fish in the ice bucket. As it swam past, there was no blood on the boat, so that it kind of the scent went cold, so to speak. So it was nothing for it to be interested in anymore, which they were very happy about.
I'm sure. So basically, this thing probably, was out there swallowing the entrails that they were tossing over the side and stuff, and I'm sure that was its prey. I put out a piece on plesiosaur necks and why they had long necks years back, and the theory was that they followed along behind schools of fish with that small head being the size approximately of the fish they preyed on, and a 2-foot head would probably be about the size of the fish Alfie and his friends were catching. And that animal was able to keep its huge body far behind it with that long neck, and thus the pressure wave that the flippers in the body would produce was hidden by that long neck, so that the fish's lateral line did not alert it to the presence of it as it would, follow the school and just pluck off one after another. Every fish in the school would think that the head behind them, since they couldn't see, if they're facing forward, was just another member of the school until they got grabbed and eaten, which means that this thing must have been, like you said, eating, and it got there, and then it was looking, and there was no more food. Can you imagine if they started tossing it fish or tried to hand it something?
Well, Elfie said they were very, very pleased that there was no blood on the surface of the boat. He said if they'd been messier, then the thing may have actually smelt the blood on the boat. So, and that might have ended up being very different. They were very pleased that they were so neat, so tidy in what they were doing.
Yeah, I would imagine that was definitely a depends moment. I don't know if you guys have depends over there, but here those are like adult diapers for people, So when you say a depends moment, it means something that could make you lose control of your bodily functions, if you know what I'm saying. But yeah, I've never had one of them. Well, close one time, but that's a story for another time. But if it was a plesiosaur and an elasmosaur, they were safe because it physically probably wasn't capable of eating something that large, that wide with the shoulders and things like that. But let's explore the plesiosaur thing for real quick. Oh wait, first, can I get picture number 8 of the Alvin submersible up, please? Image. And let me know when that bugger's up there, please. Okay, cool. So this is what the Alvin looked like, everybody. And I'm sure that, I mean, considering that this creature that's larger than it, I'm sure that they were quite happy. I mean, Manus, the king, same thing. He decided the surface and away from that thing. So that's an idea of what saw this thing off the Bahamas. Like I said, there's a few years. If that is interesting, let's get number 5 up, please. And this is a Wiki Commons image by Evan Howard at the Milwaukee Public Museum. Now, this is an elasmosaur, about 42 feet long. I believe that is also Thalassomedon, the one that we did the Scott Hartman drawing earlier. And as everybody can see, this thing has an enormous neck. It's more than half the length of its body. If this animal's 42 feet long, that could just there be the what came up next to the boat, except for the fact that the head on an animal that size, from what I've looked up, was only about 17 inches long. And what Alfie saw, Alfie said the head was like 2 feet long, correct?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that would mean that the animal would be larger, probably around 55, 56 feet on a guess, which would make sense size-wise in terms of proportions and stuff like that. I mean, we have a skeleton or two is not going to determine the maximum size of a species, obviously, especially a long-lived one. But the only other question that I would have then would be in terms of, can we get number 4 up and leave it up, please, for a few minutes? Okay, and this is also a Wiki Commons image, and it is by Roland Tangleo. You always want to give credit when you're doing Wiki Commons and stuff when they require it. This is the skull of an elasmosaur. So now, what I was trying to, when I was thinking this over about the possibilities and stuff, but he said that the mouth didn't open, correct?
That's right. Yeah.
And there was no visible teeth when
No, that was what he said. He said he was very glad it didn't open his mouth because he wasn't interested in seeing what kind of teeth it might have had.
I wouldn't be interested either, to be perfectly honest. Imagine if it was a snake, a sea snake, a giant sea snake, and the venom, you know. What I'm saying is, they tell you when the jaws were closed. Was there any mention of whether teeth were protruding, like past the gum line, the lips, I mean, or anything like that?
No, he said like how he described it was like a large snake head. No, there were no teeth at all. No, just actually the structure of the. He said that the scales, like the structure of it around the jaw, was rather very similar to a snake. So no visible teeth at all.
Which you showed in your amazing drawing. See, now this begs the question then, and keeping in mind that plesiosaurs have obviously, as we all know, supposedly been extinct for 65 or 66 million years, although they were present, obviously the KT impact and all that, along with mosasaurs. So if we look at that skull, I mean, this thing's got some sizable teeth. So the question is then, there's been questions in the past, people have said, did dinosaurs have lips? Didn't they have lips? Plesiosaurs and stuff like that. Did their teeth just interlock like a crocodile, and were they always exposed to salt water and this and that or not? And so then the question, this also begs the question, could those teeth, when interlocked, if the lips went to the halfway point of those teeth in that skull that we're looking at, okay, and they meshed with the jaws closed, that could suggest that the teeth were not visible when the mouth was closed. Or has this animal evolved over the last 65, 66 million years, if it is a plesiosaur, to the fact that its teeth have changed a bit and it doesn't require those? I don't know. Unfortunately, we didn't get to experience it. And like you said, Alfie was lucky enough to not see the teeth, which, was probably a good thing. I don't know. I think it's an awesome and incredible sighting. Um, I love it. I think it's great.
Well, when he first told me this, I was 14, and I was amazed that what he had seen. It absolutely shocked me. But he repeated the story so many times through the years and never changed the story once. Alfie was a very down-to-earth person, very pragmatic, practical person. He was an electrician, very good electrician. And he didn't read books about paranormal stuff or mysteries. He wasn't kind of particularly interested in that sort of thing. So he said that, you know, it's not the kind of thing he was a subject that he was particularly interested in, but he said it was just something that happened. And the fact that he told me over the years with such a down-to-earth kind of way, there's no question that he actually did experience this, and that it was a real.
Yeah, there was no future embellishing or anything.
Absolutely
like that.
not. No, it was always the same story, always the same basic stuff every time.
Now, I know there was 3 friends of his on the boat. I also know, obviously, that you're not in touch with any of these guys. So, but I'm just going to say, like, I mean, we don't have that big of a reach yet with the podcast, but you never know over the years of the archives. But if any of Alfie's friends, God willing, are still with us and were there for this incident, you know, and wanted to talk about it also or whatnot, you know, I'm easy to find. You can find me on Facebook, Real Max Hawthorne, or here on the show or anything else like that, comments, etc. Obviously, people would love to hear it, you know, like the another depends moment, you know, type thing as well. But it's great stuff. Awesome. Al, so I wanted to, you know, I know we're going to do a special on Ray and all that, but is it okay if we bring up like the picture of you retouching one of his, you know, pieces and all?
Yes, of course.
Oh, okay. Awesome. So Dave, can we get I got so much stuff here. Where did I put all this? Let's see. Why is it not in this folder? Oh, I'm losing it. Can we get the picture of Al where he's working on painting that Allosaurus? I don't know why I don't have it in the folder. It's up? Okay. So Al, this is the Allosaurus you're working on, and that's from which movie?
That's from 1 million years BC with Wrecker Welch, who very sadly passed away recently.
So that's an excellent choice. So this is from the movie 1 million years BC, which was a remake of the old 1 million BC, was it?
Yeah, the original one was made by Hal Roach in 1940, and that starred Victor McClure and Carol Landis.
I used to have an autographed photo from him, and then I sold it a while back, and I'm so mad at myself. Yes, yeah, the original one had like alligators and monitor lizards with like sails glued on them and stuff like that. I remember it.
Yes,
right?
absolutely. It wasn't a badly made film, but obviously when Ray came to remake it with Hammer, they knew they could improve on so many things, obviously including the look of the dinosaurs, which I think is pretty obvious. Okay.
Yeah. So now what Al does is he is worked for Ray Harryhausen for years, and he now is like the restorer for any of these animation models, these stop motion models and stuff. Can we see the one of the you know, polished Allosaurus? Sweet. So now this obviously. So when you worked on this, Al, so what did you do for the Allosaurus? I think that's great. Also, by the way.
Well, he was in quite a bad state because the model as it was, nearly 2/3 of its tail had deteriorated badly, basically down to the ball and socket armature inside. Both his feet were very badly damaged. Part of his left arm was actually missing, actually broken away. His lower jaw, a piece was missing from that. His throat was falling to pieces. So there was quite a lot of work to do, quite a lot of restoration work to have to be done.
Wow. Is it still Dave? Now that I wish we had the before and after with it, but that is fantastic because right there it looks as good as it did in the movie, and that is incredible. I thought you were just like repainting it, touching up things like that. I had no idea that you had that much reconstruction to do. I mean, that's like God bless, and you know, thank God that they care enough to take care of this stuff, and thank God they had you to do that.
Thank you
Wow.
very much. Thank you very much. Well, Ray had
No, you deserve all the thanks.
this kind of Ray told that his great concern was that the models, because they were so fragile to be put in exhibitions, they just end up finishing off their days in a dark cupboard, just slowly rotting away to nothing. And it was he felt quite sad about that. So I'm so pleased that with the foundation we've been able to turn that around. And so these models have been shown all around the world now in the last 6 or 7 years, which would have been impossible because they're actually falling to pieces. So there was a lot of reconstruction work required for most of them, really. But a wonderful privilege to be allowed to do it.
I'm honored to have you on here. Let's do one more. Let's look at the 2A one I sent you, Dave, which is the dinosaur that Al did for his museum. Is that a baryonyx?
Yes, it is.
See, I know a little bit about dinosaurs after all. Wow. Now, how big is that sucker?
He's about 3 foot long.
Nice. Interesting. If I get this movie deal like working on, I might have to hire you to make a couple of these things, for the house and stuff,
Oh, that'd be great.
Yeah, except that I'm forbidden to decorate the house outside of my office. My office is covered with giant stuffed fish, and that poster that Ray sent me from the Seventh Voyage of Sinbad, and native masks, and a whole wall of fossils, and all this stuff. I think that might be grounds for a divorce, but hey, it'd be worth if I have some original, But anyway, okay, so we're gonna do. If I don't know if we have enough viewers / listeners for this, but if people have gotten their entries, and remember, if you want to be in the raffle for the mosasaur tooth, this bad boy right here, okay, make sure you get in right now. #monsters_are_real, all lowercase. Okay, USA only, and you can't have won in the last few episodes because we get some people regulars, and they're going to be starting garming all sorts of all the door prizes and stuff. So I got to share the wealth. While people are doing that, Al, is anything like you want to talk about or discuss or add about the sighting, the foundation?
Well, I did that regarding Elfie. I'm sure he'd be very pleased that his story is being told, because he was very kind of he was the least shy person you could imagine, but he was very reticent about talking about this because he felt that he didn't want people thinking he was crazy. But over the years, I kind of warmed him up. I said, well, if you really saw this, you shouldn't be. He was he'd be quite pleased, I think, that his story was being told. So I'd like to thank you for the opportunity to actually put this out and put it out into the public domain now.
Oh,
so I'm sure Elfie would be very, very grateful for that.
It is my privilege, and we want to actually. What is it okay if we put Alfie's last name?
Alfie Stanford
out there. Stanford, STANFORD.
Yeah, that's right.
Awesome, because I know like we'll probably put on the site, and there's like some something like that stuff to get all that. Yeah, I mean I think the Red Sea Serpent is as good of a sighting as the submersible incident, and the fact that they both describe very large creatures like that. I mean, Alfie's was on the surface. The circumstances, I believe that what they saw was some sort of plesiosaur-like creature. I just don't think that the physics would support a snake in terms of the angle, the height, the head, that type of stuff like that. I think it would kind of. I studied so many snakes swimming. I've owned huge pythons. The way they move and stuff like that. And the sea snakes are even worse. I mean, I don't think that it sounds to me like an elasmosaur. And people may say no, you're a nutter, or whatever the case may be. But the fact that two such sightings, jives also. But God willing, hopefully it's true. And if the Alvin submersible,
well, because I'm familiar with that sighting too. So I actually have that book, the Charles Berlitz book.
Oh, cool.
Oh, yeah, I read about that so many years ago. Yeah, I've huge collection of crypto type material, mystery books. So yes, I'm very familiar with that story. I remember the illustration
You're
very
in the
well.
right place then, my friend. Did you want to do? I mean, is there anything like listeners or viewers can do for the Ray and Diana Harryhausen Foundation if they want to?
Well, there's a Facebook group, the Ray and Diana Harryhausen Facebook group. I have a Facebook group, like it's called the Fantastic World of Ray Harryhausen. If they want to join that, they'd be very welcome. It'd be great to have them on board. With the actual Facebook page you can get a newsletter around every month or 6 weeks that keeps you up with recent events and new things that are going to be happening if there are new exhibits coming along. So the information is all.
So it's there's two groups. They're called the Ray. Can you?
The Ray and Diana Harryhausen Foundation Facebook group, and I just called the Fantastic World of Ray Harryhausen.
I know I had the one from the Ray's group. Dave, can you throw the Ray Foundation image up again, please? So this way people can see it. Okay. Dude, you rock, man. Seriously. I mean, I find it hard to blame you now for the delay for the show tonight, Dave. All right. I really do. I'm still going to, but I know somehow it's your fault. That's fantastic. I can't see anything, so I have no idea what's really going on. But awesome. So that's the one, and the other one is not the foundation one. I'm sorry, Al. Is the
other one is the Fantastic World of Ray Harryhausen, which is the other Facebook group.
The Fantastic World of Ray Harryhausen. And does that one come with the newsletter or the Ray?
The Ray and Diana Harryhausen usually originally has the newsletter. I'll copy that and paste it into my group anyway. See it
from the other dinosaur group too, or just those two?
Well, there's the Vintage Dinosaur group, as you know. People are very welcome to join if they would like to. I believe you're a member. I do believe you post quite regularly things on there.
I'm a member in good standing. Yes. Well, that isn't until I get accosted by some lunatic or something like that, and then my standing is always in doubt. But yeah, guys, there's also a great group called the Vintage Dinosaur. Is it called
Vintage Dinosaur Pictures?
Okay, and that one is for people that are interested in paleo art. So if you like paintings and sculptures and movie images and posters and even old comic books of dinosaur art, there is so much stuff on there to see. It's incredible. So great group, great people, very, very nice. It's some good stuff. It really, really is. I always enjoy posting stuff on there and seeing stuff on there and all that. And obviously I'm a Ray Harryhausen fan for life. I wish I could turn the camera around and show that poster actually, but it's the original, old. I shipped it all the way to England for him to do that for me, and then shipped it back. Tony Dawson was his manager or something, or friend.
That would have been Tony Dalton, I think, from a few years ago.
Yeah, we were talking regularly back then. It was a long time ago, but so thank you. So, wait, we got to do the Dave. Are you going to be able to do the raffle for the prize winner for this? Okay. I got lost for a second there. Okay, so finding Al on social media would be his Vintage Dinosaurs art group, or through the Diana Harryhausen Foundation group on Facebook, or the Fantastic World of Ray Harryhausen on Facebook. And if you're going to follow me, um, my Facebook page is facebook.com/real Max Hawthorne, because there's a lot of people that are using my name. I don't know why, but anyway. And there's also a group called Monsters and Marine Mysteries that I tend to dabble in as well. So everybody's always welcome. The more the merrier. You know how it is. What do we got? I was born that way. That's what they say. It's like that joke. I was born. I was so ugly. Oh, sorry. Who? And we have a winner. Whoever that is, TTZ, you need to reach out to, I guess, to Dave directly or to me on Facebook. They have a way of getting in touch with you, Dave? Awesome. All right. I think we are good, all things considered. Al, thank you so much. I apologize for all the technical difficulties. I know we lost a lot of our usual people that hang out in the chat room and stuff because we were like over an hour late and what. Um, you know, it couldn't be helped. But thank you for your patience. Thank you for your time, and I am be very excited to have you back on the show soon.
Well, thank you for having me on. It's a great pleasure to speak to you, and I enjoyed it very much. And I look very much forward to doing it again. So thank you very much, and great. It was great to do it.
My pleasure. Have a great
You
night. Everybody have a great monsters are real.